Good morning, students. In the earlier video of chapter number 15, our environment, we have discussed about environment and its components, ecosystem and its types, components of ecosystem. In this video, we will be discussing about food chain and food web, ozone layer and its depletion. We will just recall what we had studied in the earlier video in short. Environment, what is environment? The organisms like plants, animals, and human beings, when they interact with their physical surrounding, it is known as environment. Environment has two components, biotic components and abiotic components. Biotic components are living, whereas abiotic are non-living. Biotic and abiotic components are interdependent on each other to maintain the balance in the environment. The environment of various places varies due to its soil structure, climate, as well as topography. Next topic, ecosystem and its type. The biotic community, along with its physical surrounding, forms a system which is known as ecosystem. Ecosystem is of two types, terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem includes grasslands, forests, and deserts, whereas aquatic ecosystem includes freshwater ecosystem as well as marine ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem includes lakes, ponds, rivers, whereas marine ecosystem includes oceans. The marine ecosystem is the largest of all the ecosystem. Now, next is components of ecosystem. There are two components of ecosystem, biotic and abiotic. Biotic components include producers, consumers, and decomposers, whereas abiotic components include climatic factors as well as adaptive factors. We'll just see in short about the biotic components of ecosystem and abiotic components. Biotic components, as we mentioned, includes producers, consumers, and decomposers. Green plants are considered to be the producers because they are able to synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. In consumers, we have herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores are considered to be the primary consumer in the ecosystem. They feed on the grass and gain nutrition. The secondary consumer is carnivores, which feed on the herbivores and gain nutrition. Herbivores and carnivores are fed up by omnivores and they gain nutrition. The last biotic component of ecosystem is decomposers. They completely convert the complex form of the food present on the dead bodies and gain nutrition. Examples are fungi and bacteria. Whereas the abiotic components include climatic factors and adaptive. In climatic factors, you will be able to see the temperature, the climate, humidity. Whereas adaptive factors, you will be seeing the soil structure and its composition. I think so. You might have got the point which we have revised in the earlier video. Now moving on further to our today's video, it is food chain and food web. What is food chain? As we all know that living organisms are dependent on each other for their food requirement. As these living organisms are dependent on each other for their food requirement, they form a chain which is known as the food chain. This food chain has different trophic levels, and at each trophic level, you'll be able to see one organisms. That is, in the first trophic level, we will be able to see producers, second, herbivores, third, carnivores. Now, moving on further, at each trophic level, you will be seeing the gaining of energy, but all of this starts from the producers itself. So, first of all, let us see from where do these producers gain energy. Producers gain energy by the food they prepare by the process of photosynthesis. For this, they absorb the light energy and convert it into chemical energy with which they prepare their food. When producers are eaten by herbivores, the energy gets transferred from producers to herbivores to some extent. And after that, when herbivores are eaten by carnivores, the amount of energy gets transferred from that of to the carnivores to some extent. So here you are able to see that the energy gets transferred from one trophic level to the other. But the backward flow of energy in each trophic level is not possible. What is food web? As we all know that living organisms are dependent on each other for their food requirement. It is not compulsory that animals of the same ecosystem are dependent on each other. The animals of different ecosystems can be dependent on each other for their food requirement, due to which it forms a complex structure, a complex net-like structure, which we name it as food web. One more time, when the animals of different ecosystems are dependent on each other for their food requirement, they form a complex net-like structure, which is known as the food web. Moving on to the next topic, that is ozone layer and its depletion. Before moving to ozone layer, we should know where is ozone layer present. Ozone layer is present in the stratosphere, which is nearly 50 kilometers above the Earth's crust. What is the advantage of ozone layer? Ozone layer protects us from UV rays. UV rays means ultraviolet rays. Now question arises, how ozone is formed? When the oxygen molecule present in the atmosphere absorbs ultraviolet photons, the oxygen molecules get split into two individual oxygen atoms. Then that individual oxygen atom combines with the oxygen molecule present in the atmosphere to form ozone molecule. The formula of ozone molecule is O3. As we had seen earlier, the advantage of ozone layer is it protects us from the ultraviolet rays. It prevents the ultraviolet rays from reaching the Earth's crust. Scientists have observed in 1980 that holes are created in the South Polar region. 40 to 50% of depletion of ozone layer is observed in the South Polar region. Further studies suggest that this depletion of ozone layer can also be observed in the North Polar region due to the activities of human beings. This depletion of ozone layer is also known as ozone hole. There are different factors which are responsible for the ozone layer depletion. Let us see one by one. The first factor is the addition of chlorine atom in the atmosphere. One chlorine atom can decompose up to 1 lakh molecules of ozone, whereas the second factor is CFC, which is considered to be the most prominent factor for the depletion of ozone layer because it depletes nearly 80% of ozone molecules. Whereas freon, which is present in the refrigerator as well as the air condition, is also a factor for the depletion of ozone layer.